Hi and welcome back. It's becoming a little bit of a tradition now that whenever there's a new major CPU launch, I upload a video discussing the overclocking techniques and capabilities. While this is not really a major new CPU launch, Intel today launches the Core i9-13900KS flagship Raptor Lake processor. The main talking point of this processor is of course that it's the very first chip that boosts up to 6 GHz out of the box. I'm already in the process of preparing a SkatterBencher guide with the 13900KS and the Maximus Z790 Hero motherboard, but in this video I want to focus more on, let's say, the benchmarking / overclocking side of the 13900KS than really the daily overclocking part of the KS. For those who are just here to see the money shot, I ran the 13900KS P-cores at 6.7 GHz idling in Windows and about 6.2 GHz in an all-core gaming workload. For those who want more details, I'll walk you through my BIOS settings and then afterwards show some actual benchmark footage with the CPU frequency. But first, let's have a look at the system specifications. As you can see, I used very similar hardware as I used in previous SkatterBencher videos. I can add some clarification to some of the specific hardware choices. I used the EK Quantum Delta 2 Tech water block to leverage Intel's cryocooling technology. The Delta 2 Tech implements the latest generation cryo technology, and I already used it in SkatterBencher number 52 with the Core i9-13900K processor. I added an additional 360 radiator in the loop just in case the added heat from the Delta 2 Tech plus the Core i9-13900KS would be too much for just a single radiator. The Elmar Labs EFC X9 is an evolution of the original EFC, which I've used in many previous SkatterBencher guides. As usual, I mapped the fan curve to the water temperature and have the fans scale from 0 to 100% fan duty cycle from 25C to 40C water temperature. Just like in SkatterBencher number 52, I want to focus specifically on P-core overclocking, so I have all my E-cores disabled in the BIOS. Now let me walk you through my BIOS configuration and provide some notes and tips along the way. Please note that this is for entertainment purposes only and not the whole picture on how to overclock your 13900KS. Please don't copy these settings and apply them to your system. If you want to know how to overclock a 13900KS, have a look at the SkatterBencher guide that will be up on this channel in maybe a week's time or so. First, let's go to the Extreme Tweaker menu. Set AI Overclock Tuner to XMP2. That enables the Intel Extreme Memory Profile 3.0 technology and makes the DDR5 memory run at its rated speed of DDR5 7200. Selecting XMP2 means the motherboard loads the complete XMP profile, including some of the secondary timings. Set BCLK frequency to 100.1. That is a simple workaround when the Raptor Lake VF points don't work correctly in combination with 100.0 MHz BCLK. Leave ASUS multicore enhancement to auto. This option is by default set to enabled and unleashes the Turbo Boost 2.0 power limits. That makes the CPU run at unlimited power indefinitely. Set DRAM frequency to DDR5 7607 MHz. This means we are overclocking the G.Skill memory to DDR5 7600. As we adjust the BCLK frequency, it also affects the memory frequency. Note that because we enabled XMP, it will still run the XMP primary and secondary subtimings. Set performance core ratio to by core usage. That enables us to configure a dynamic P-core overclock as we configure the maximum allowed P-core ratio for a given number of active P-cores. This configuration will boost the CPU to 6.7 GHz when up to 2 P-cores are active and up to 6.1 GHz when all 8 P-cores are active. Enter the specific performance core submenu. Here we can limit the maximum ratio for each P-core individually and define a core-specific adaptive voltage. The ratio limit is enforced even if the bi-core usage turbo ratio configuration would allow for a higher P-core frequency. We create custom VF curves for each core by setting a core-specific adaptive voltage. The adaptive voltage is mapped to the core-specific ratio limit. The CPU then interpolates the voltage for ratios between the per-core ratio limit and the next VF point, which is 60x. Leave the specific performance core submenu. Enter the AVX-related controls submenu. Now we can adjust the AVX negative ratio offset, which lowers the P-core ratio when using AVX. The offset is referenced against the per P-core ratio limit, which we configured earlier. Leave the AVX-related controls submenu. Enter the Digi plus VRM submenu. Here we can make changes to the voltage regulator configuration. We adjust the VRM load line to minimize the V droop. That is the voltage reduction when the CPU goes from idle to full load. We choose the VRM load line with the smallest V droop, so the effective voltage deviates the least from our manually configured CPU voltage frequency curve. Set CPU load line calibration to level 8. Leave the Digi plus VRM submenu. Enter the internal CPU power management submenu. Set regulate frequency by above threshold to disabled. This feature is part of the ASUS AI overclocking toolset. It allows you to configure a maximum temperature for the CPU. Once the temperature exceeds the target temperature, the motherboard reduces the CPU frequency by adjusting the turbo boost power limit parameters. By default, this feature is enabled and set to 90 degrees Celsius. Set IAAC load line to 0.01. By defining the AC-DC load line, we can make the CPU adapt its voltage management to the motherboard's electrical impedance. The AC load line adjusts the voltage request from the CPU to the voltage regulator. By setting the AC load line to the lowest value, we tell the CPU not to deviate from the programmed voltage frequency curve when issuing the VID request to the voltage controller. Leave the internal CPU power management submenu. Enter the thermal velocity boost submenu. Set TVB voltage optimizations to disabled. That prevents the CPU from automatically reducing the voltage based on its current operating temperature. This feature is useful when relying on the default voltages and ratios, however it may cause instability when manually tuning the voltage frequency curve. Set overclocking TVB to enabled. The easiest way to think of OCTVB is to limit or clip the maximum allowed CPU ratio based on the operating temperature. OCTVB is based on the bi-core usage turbo ratio configuration. For each number of active cores, you can define 2 temperature points, each with a unique number of downbins. A downbin is essentially the number of ratios you want to drop. Leave the thermal velocity boost submenu. Enter the VF point offset submenu. Here we can configure Intel's advanced voltage offset feature, more commonly known as the VF points. This feature extends the adaptive voltage mode by allowing end users to undervolt or overvolt specific points of the CPU's factory-fused voltage frequency curve. The VF points for the 13900KS are slightly different from the 13900K. VF point 8 is mapped to 58x instead of 57x, and VF point 9 is mapped to 60x instead of 58x. The other VF points are the same as the 13900K. Set VF points 7 to VF points 10 to minus. Set VF point 7 offset to 25 mV. Set VF point 8 offset to 150 mV. Set VF point 9 offset to 35 mV. Set VF point 10 offset to 35 mV. This configuration's goal is to undervolt the voltage frequency curve at the range of ratios used during multi-core workloads. That helps reduce the operating voltage in those workloads, which reduces the temperature and increases the frequency headroom. Leave the VF points submenu. Set global core SVID voltage to adaptive mode. This allows us to control the voltage associated with the highest point of the voltage frequency curve. The adaptive voltage set maps to what's called the OC ratio. The OC ratio is equal to the highest configured CPU ratio. In our case, that's 67x. The voltage between 67x and the next VF point, 60x, is interpolated by the CPU. Since we set the adaptive voltage for each core specifically already, we don't have to put this value. However, it's good practice to set it because it prevents the motherboard auto rules from overriding it. Set offset mode sign to plus. Set additional turbo mode CPU core voltage to 1.5. Go to the advanced menu. Enter the CPU configuration submenu. Set active efficient cores to 0. That disables all 16 E-cores present on the Core i9-13900KS. Then save, exit the BIOS, and boot into the operating system. Here we set the cryo cooling to unregulated mode. That will make the EK Quantum Delta 2 Tech operate at the maximum power of 200 watts. After letting the system idle for a while, we can see all P-cores except P-core 6 boost to 6.7 GHz when the CPU temperature is below 10 degrees Celsius. Now that we've configured the BIOS, let's run some benchmarks and see how the CPU frequency changes with different workloads. 3DMark CPU profile is a benchmark that loops the same workload but with a decreasing amount of threads. Therefore, it's an interesting benchmark to test the performance of a CPU with a dynamic overclocking profile. By the end of the benchmark, you can see that the CPU cores are already running at 6.4 to 6.7 GHz as the temperature is nearing 10 degrees Celsius. 3DMark Night Raid is a standard DirectX 12 benchmark featuring 2 graphics and 1 CPU benchmark. It's my go-to 3DMark workload for the SkatterBencher guides. I had this benchmark looping on display in the ASUS meeting room during the 9 GHz OC session. The point of the display was to show the Core i9-13900KS running at 6.4 to 6.5 GHz in a 3D workload. Cinebench R23 is another classic overclockers benchmark, demonstrating the CPU performance capability in a rendering workload. In a previous video on this channel, I showed 100,000 points in Cinebench R23. For this system, the point is mainly to show how the OCTVB and thermal throttling functions work. You can see the system idle at 6.5 to 6.7 GHz. When we start the multi-core workload, the processor frequency immediately drops to 6.1 GHz. Then, as the temperature rises, it falls to 6 GHz and 5.9 GHz. The final score is 24,659 points, not too shabby with only 8 P-cores. The next benchmark is also a classic, CPU-Z. This recording is from earlier testing, so it's not from the BIOS configuration I showed earlier in the video. However, I wanted to include it since it shows well over 1,000 points for single-threaded and over 10,000 points for multi-threaded performance. If I recall correctly, the frequency is 6.4 GHz for single-threaded workload and about 6.1 GHz for an all-core workload. The last 2 benchmarks are actual games, CSGO and Tomb Raider. Again, I just wanted to show the dynamic CPU frequency behavior in these 2 games. In CSGO, the CPU frequency moves between 6.1 GHz and 6.4 GHz, depending on the scene and the operating temperature. In Tomb Raider, the CPU is fixed to a frequency of 6.1 GHz as it's an all-core workload, but the temperature is below 50 degrees Celsius most of the time. Alright, let's wrap this up. The Core i9-13900KS is the creme de la creme when it comes to Raptor Lake processors. It's also the very first CPU that boosts up to 6 GHz out of the box. I would say that based on my limited experience overclocking just a couple of KS chips, I would say that on average, they're probably one step above the 13900K. Maybe my best 13900K would be able to match the overclocking capabilities of the KS that I showed in this video, but my 13900K is already pretty good. It's definitely above average. So I think a lot of enthusiasts who find a really good KS will have a lot of fun pushing those chips beyond the 6 GHz that they come with out of the box. I look forward to see what enthusiasts can do with these KS chips in the coming weeks and months. Alright, that's it for this video. As per usual, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. I will also put up a written version of this video on my blog, so if you want to read through the BIOS settings, you can do that over there. I want to thank you for watching and the patrons for the support, and see you next time.